Hi everyone, my name is Carol. Thank you for joining me today. I would like to speak very briefly about entities and entity attachment, how to figure out if you have one, and what to do to get rid of it, and how to know that it's gone. So, the reason why I want to talk about entity attachment is because of what's going on in the world right now. We are in the fourth dimension. The lower fourth dimension is where all the entities are, and they like to attach to us because they feed off of our energy, our excess emotional energy. So what they do is they amp up the feelings. So one of the ways to know whether or not you might have an entity attachment is if you find that you are suddenly overly emotional about things. Most especially if it's something in particular that you've learned to make peace with, and now all of a sudden you are not at peace with it anymore, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. I thought I resolved this already. So what they do is it's almost like they excrete something. So, like when you get a mosquito bite, the mosquito doesn't just get your blood, it also leaves part of its DNA or RNA or whatever, it leaves something behind when it bites you. And that's kind of like how these entities act. So when your buttons get pushed, the entity amps up that emotion so that you become even more frustrated, more irritated, more angry, more sad, more depressed, stronger feelings of denial, and people can more easily push your buttons, even about things that you may have thought that you had already worked through, that they were already taken care of. Because the entities will find where your weakest emotional spot is and attach there. Another one that might be a sign of having an entity attachment is feeling extremely drained. So especially right after the entity attaches, you become extremely drained. And I don't just mean tired, I mean drained. Like your energy is gone and you need to eat to get some energy, and then you eat and then you get tired and you want to go to sleep, and then you're just drained all the time. You're tired. So that's another one. So overly emotional and feeling tired and drained all the time. Another one is depending on where it's attached to you, if it's internally or externally. Sometimes the entities don't attach. They just hover over you. They just follow you around. But if they're attached to you, you can have physical symptoms. The entity that I had attached to me the other day, thank goodness I only had it 2 days, but that entity was in my stomach, and it caused physical discomfort. So, and it attached to me through my emotions about what is going on in the world, and especially in Afghanistan, and the war that I see it leading us to, and how people are so fighting with each other and blaming political parties and blaming one president or another president, etc., and not seeing the bigger picture of what's really going on. So in the past, that has caused me frustration, but it certainly wasn't anything that I was super attached to or irritable about. But the entity that attached in my stomach, my place of power, when the news came on and my boyfriend talked about it, it stirred inside my stomach, and it made me feel really anxious. And then it gave me I had to go to the bathroom. It was like diarrhea. So it messed with me physically in my stomach with my bowels. If you have it, I've had it attached in years past. I've had entities attached on my back so that it felt always like there were pins and needles in my back. And you could have it attached to your head. It could give you headaches. It could, So there are physical symptoms and physical signs that you may have an entity attached to you. So what you want to look for is all of these things. And if you have two of them, you probably have an entity attachment. If you have all of them, you can be pretty sure you have an entity attachment. So, especially, look back at your past. How were you always this emotional about this topic or this subject or this person or whatever it is? If the answer is no, then you probably have an entity attachment. So, okay, so now you figured out that you have an entity attachment. What do you do? Well, you can go into a deep meditation. You can scan your own body, use your inner eyes, and scan your whole body to find where the attachment is. You follow your intuition. You follow the promptings, the inner and higher promptings of where to look in your body. What does it feel like? It feels a little bit different or whatever. Then you look to see what it is. And then when you look and when you find it, you assess what is the best way to get rid of it. You have to trust yourself. And then you call in your higher guidance. Even before that, you can call in your higher guidance and tell them, I feel like I have an entity and I need to locate it and remove it. Please help me. And they will. And so whether you pull it out or you yank it out or you coax it out or use light to get it out, every method is different. There are people who are skilled at removing entities. My friend, thank goodness, my two friends that were over here the other day, I thought I had an entity. I wasn't sure. I talked to them about it and I had them verify it, and they saw what I had already picked up on. So I knew there was one. And then I asked them to help me remove it because I didn't want to go through all of that. And I was tired. I didn't want to sit in meditation. I didn't want to focus on getting rid of it and finding it and then getting rid of it, etc. Then it turned, and they agreed. So then it turned out that one of them was skilled in removing entities. And she did. She had to go in 3 times. The last one was to clear up the gunk that was left behind from this entity, which was like a worm, but it was gone. And how do I know it was gone? So I checked, and even for hours afterwards, this little thought coming up in my mind about, imagining it and, it's not real or whatever, but I'm looking at it and I'm realizing I feel better. I literally, right away, felt better. And since then, I have felt better. So the difference is that if you have an entity, once it is removed, it's like night and day. It's like having a huge weight literally lifted off your shoulder. It's like being able to breathe. Like while the entity was there, it's like it was taking up your oxygen as well. And now that it's gone, all of a sudden you can breathe. You feel lighter. You can breathe. Things aren't so heavy anymore. So that's how I know for sure that I had an entity attached there. Now, when the entity came to me, it came to me through another person, but the other person didn't purposely send it to me. They just happened to have an entity. And when we embraced and said goodbye, and I hugged them goodbye, that's when I got it. And at that moment, I felt it, but I couldn't be sure because it's been so long since I've had an entity attachment. So I couldn't be sure. But over the next 24 hours, the things that I was experiencing, and physically and emotionally and mentally. So, and then when my two friends confirmed it as well. So the signs that you may have an entity attachment is being overly emotional about things, especially if you were not previously. Being incredibly depressed or in strong denial. If somebody says something and you all of a sudden go off on them, that's an indication that there might be an entity there. And if you're feeling it physically, if see something or talk about something, and it has to be something in particular, and all of a sudden your head hurts or your tummy aches or your arm hurts or you can't see clearly or you can't hear clearly, and it's always related to this specific topic or subject or person, then you probably have an entity attachment. So that's the physical, and then there was, I mentioned the emotional, being overly emotional, the physical signs that could be there. Being tired, drained, not just tired, but drained. So those are all indications of entity attachment. So if you have it, if you know somebody who can get rid of it, or and help you get rid of it, that's the easiest route, and it's well worth it because the difference in your life is like night and day. And if you don't know somebody that can help you to get rid of it, seriously, go into a deep meditation, ask for your guidance system to help you out with it and to help you get rid of it, to find it and to clear it out of you. And then you want to make sure that it's clean as well. You don't just get rid of it. And if it's a wormy thing, you want to make sure you get it all out, especially if it's a wormy thing. And then you want to make sure that it's clean inside. And then you want to seal yourself up so that nothing can get in while you're recuperating, while your energy field is strengthening back up. And lastly, you know for sure whether or not it's gone, because if it is gone, everything changes for you. It's like, oh my God, I can breathe again, and I feel lighter, and I'm happier, and nothing matters anymore. Oh, thank goodness. So I wanted to tell you about that because when my friends came over here yesterday and we were discussing everything that's going on, what we came to realize is how few people understand that we are currently living in the fourth dimension. I don't know that it's necessarily the lower or the higher, or maybe we're going in and out and up and down or whatever, but we are in the fourth dimension, and that's where the entities are, and that's why you see all of this stuff going on and people just fighting with each other and hurting each other, etc., is because they all have entities attached to them. So they're overreacting on everything. At least, I'm not saying that I see these entities attached to these people. It just makes sense. And those of us who have worked in the psychic realms and healing realms, we've had to work through and in the fourth dimension. So we are aware of the pitfalls. So I wanted to let you all know about that as well. We are in the fourth dimension. The entities are here. You're seeing things out of the side of your eyes. You're hearing little whispers, becoming more sensitive, etc. It's because we're in the fourth dimension. We're not going to stay here. I don't think it's going to be for very long. But while we're here, you need to understand and to realize that entity attachments are very real, and the neighbors let their dogs out. That the things that I was telling you about, those are the signs and symptoms of having entity attachments and how to get rid of it. If you have any questions, comment below. All right, God bless you all. Love you. Bye.